Hi there, Ron here of Variable Play, and welcome to LarongAtin.
Oops. Oh, hello. Nawala pala ako.
Hello.
Okay. Hello?
Now we have
Wait.
two of you.
What? Wait. Let me check. Okay. I know what happened.
Cool.
There we go.
Good.
I think I clicked
All
the link twice. So nag-open siya in
ah
two
nice,
windows. Mhm.
nice. And it was I was getting your signal twice.
Pero there were two of me in the video.
I didn't add it, so I can see that
Okay.
there's two Nicos trying to log in. I only had one online.
Okay.
Hi everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you
Ooh.
uh
Mhm.
for joining. So cool sa fur.
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw the new intro nga. Ang galing.
Yeah. It was it's just the bacon reels natin just to sort of get a cover. Pero I
Mhm.
realized yun nga, hey, actually we can capture that as the rolling intro. We'll just put different messages inside. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah. Still I still have the bacon fever.
Mhm.
Yan. Sa mga alam, ito yung suot ko kanina nung nakalaro ko si Bayaw. So,
Yeah.
I have a new alter ego, sabi nga ni Nico.
Yeah, si
And
Raymond.
I'm Raymond. If I'm in my Raymond mode, I don't like cubes. I only play games with mini or a lot of dice. And gusto ko meron siyang matrix. Meron akong hit table. Tapos, yan. So,
Mhm.
Nico, aside from our most recent bacon event. Have you played any board games recently in between, or ano yung last na what's memorable plays that you had? Maybe we can do that. What's your most memorable game that you played in Bacon?
Okay. So I actually didn't get to play that well, I didn't get to play as much as I wanted to kasi I was demoing yung 13, but still I got to play a lot. I guess the most memorable would be Kemet kasi that we played that last. And
Mm-hmm.
ayun, thanks Ron, we played your copy and naiwan mo pa siya sa Bacon kasi we weren't done. So ayun, that's probably
I
the
already
most.
have it. Got it already from Dwayne and
Okay, okay.
Ivan. So yeah. Um, so what did you like about Kemet?
Mm, so Well, first of all, everyone was commenting while we were playing it na mukhang this guy really loves Kemet kasi fully pimped out yung copy, all of the minis were painted, all of the player aids were printed and laminated. So, yon when we were playing, so it was the first time I played it. Um, I don't recommend it as a last convention game, especially if you're just learning it. Kasi ang daming options, di ba? That whole grid of all of the
Mm-hmm.
pyramid colors and whatever. So medyo sabaw na ako. I didn't even bother to really look into it.
Explore and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yun. So I kind of felt na parang okay, this is the type of game that if it's the first time playing, you just really explore it kasi you're not really going to even get close to winning if the other players know the how it goes. So ayun, nag-enjoy naman. I kind of get why people often compare it to Blood Rage.
Mm-hmm.
It has that same feel of area control and has different powers and stuff like that. So yeah, it was nice. It was a nice game.
Yeah, speaking of Blood Rage, that was
Mhm.
actually I recently got to play Blood Rage again,
Mhm.
and I was reminded why I like Kemet more.
Mm.
um, the well, what's nice with Kemet was the balance was done by sort of how the tech tree is like its own puzzle. Like, oh, my opponent got this. Oh, I need
Mm.
to get this. Otherwise, I'm gonna be behind the technology rate.
Mm. Mm.
In Blood Rage, it's about drafting those cards, but
Mhm.
you kind of get shoehorned into either you choose this strategy or you
Mhm.
don't. And if you don't choose that strategy, the likelihood of everybody else at the table not using that strategy is gonna be there, and then suddenly you now have this winner that has an auto win condition. Because
Mm.
that's just how it works.
Mm.
So yung nakalaro namin completed all Loki powers and was
Oh
using
wow.
every Loki Loki card. Like
Oh no.
right.
Yeah.
Di naman kami nilap sa point, pero I was trying my best to manage him uh to but even if ano he's still generating points nga
Mm.
um because the way I was managing him was through his units, but he's still generating points from there. Anyways,
Mm.
yeah. Okay. So today we would be talking about uh something that I think Nico na-experience mo naman to, di ba? Siguro naman. Yung
Yeah, yeah. All the
na
time.
na
Uh-huh.
you have an idea, especially for aspiring designers. So this is something that I experience. It was asked a lot of gamers I got to meet all through the different conventions that were running past weeks. So,
Sorry Ron, can I ano lang? Can I exit for a while? Let me just check my internet. There's something
sure,
strange going on. Let me just
yeah,
go out for a
no
while.
worries. Yun. So what I was saying is, um, most recently, uh, we got to play a lot of games in the convention. and I met a lot of you guys that are interested in designing games. But one of the things that um, often came up was, yeah, I have a game idea, but I don't know how to get it out there, or I just maybe did a small prototype, but I wasn't able to finish it, or um, it had this problem and we no longer, got back to it. So for the ones who are on stream at the moment, are there any games that you tried designing or at least you had an idea for? And I'm sure as most gamers, you would have ideas on games that you like, and you'd go, hey, I think there's a cool way to do this. Uh, and Yeah, so I was just informed that the stream now is offline. So let me just double check. You good,
Okay,
Nico?
I think that's yeah. Apparently, it's
Let's
much
just
better.
double.
Okay. Hmm.
I can see.
Oh, why? What's is there something else?
No, somebody was messaging me that the stream is offline.
Ah, okay. There.
Okay naman. I just tested. Yes, thank
Okay.
you. As Edwin
Okay.
said, we are still online. Thank you very much. So, as I was saying, um, I met a lot of you guys that are aspiring designers, or you have some ideas of games, and either you don't know how to start, or you have started but you don't know how to get over the prototyping stage, or you have a working prototype but you have some issues and hindi mo na siya nabalikan. And there are a lot of bumps. There are a lot of valleys, right? Hills
Mm-hmm.
and valleys in game design. And so we're gonna try to share with you guys our personal tricks. It might work for you, it might not. But if hopefully it's something that might help you get
Mm-hmm.
over that designer's bump.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just gonna go through some tips, and again, Nico, you can uh, you know share your experiences as well. Nico is
Mm-hmm.
doing this professionally, designing for um, uh, local government, for NGOs,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a whole different animal
Yep.
because you
Yeah.
now
That's
have a design and you have a deadline.
and no and a not fun goal. I mean, it has to be fun, meaning a goal that is beyond the fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So those also affect um or maybe
Mm-hmm.
drive also, that urge. I gotta
Yeah.
finish this. Well,
It's yeah. It's actually who had a good anecdote on that. See Eric Lang. So we were talking about Blood Rage, right? So
mm,
Blood Rage is his first like game na yung theme is from him. Because right
mhm,
before Eric Lang, before Blood Rage, Eric Lang was known for licensed games, right? He
mhm.
did Game of Thrones,
World of
TCG.
Warcraft TCG.
Oh, he did. He did the WoW
Yes.
TCG.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then the like Forbidden Stars, I think, and so Blood Rage was his first like his own theme. He had full reign over it, and he was saying in I think when he was here a few years ago,
Mhm.
there that it was really daunting to him at first because he was used to like I'm design to this. There's a brief, and this was his
Right.
first like white paper design where it's like blank white paper. You can do whatever you like with it, and that lack of restriction was actually, as he said, the more like daunting part. So it
Mhm,
also depends on the person. Some people like restrictions, some people don't want to be held back. So yeah.
mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So
All right.
maybe do you have a list with you?
Yeah, I have
How
some
many?
stuff. Oh, and the
How many?
viewers too. If anyone wants to like ask questions about this topic,
Yes. Yes.
go ahead.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Go and ask any question about getting started into game design. All
Mhm.
right, so let's go. Okay,
Mhm.
go ahead, Nico. Start with
Um,
your tip number one.
okay, so my tip number one. Um, what's that? Well, we have music now. Whoops.
Yes.
Oh, my setup is super. I just have a lamp and a piece of paper covering the lamp so it's not too bright. So every once in a while, the tape gets out. Okay, so um,
We will eventually, as designers, get that hit game, Nico, and then we can afford all the lights we need.
yeah, yeah. So actually, I'll share my first advice is from Aya, because so Aya, my wife, also works with Balangay and also has designed and developed some games. And this afternoon, so I told her that we have LarongAtin, and apparently she said the same thing as you did, Ron. That because she goes to like the botsy and stuff. So there are people who also say, "Hey, I'm working on a game, and I'm also having a hard time starting." And
Mm,
her advice is always that to understand that game design is an iterative process. It's a cyclic process because a lot of people they think game design is like linear. You start the game, design, you build it up, make the mechanics, and then you're done. And then you show it, and everyone's like, "Wow, that's such a great game." So it really isn't like that at all. And understanding that it is an iterative process can get a lot of the pressure out. So
mm,
you can start, and your first draft, your first version can really be broken, not fun. It can have no theme. The art can be all over the place, and that's fine. And it's okay to share it with people because that's really how it starts. You don't go from 0 to 100 on your first try. You go like 0 to 5% maybe. Your first prototype is just
yes.
like 5% of the final thing. So yeah, so that will really, and Aya said when she tells that to people, it brings a lot of the load off the pressure to like to get it right on the first try and like, all right, so just I can now go and try it out. So yeah,
Right.
that's the first tip. Mhm.
Nice, nice, nice. I like that. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It is. Uh, yes, definitely be less hard on yourself because
Yeah.
whatever idea you're gonna come up with, it's not gonna work the first time.
Mm-hmm.
The likelihood of that, w- uh, many times, I remember, I had a variation already for folded wishes,
Mm-hmm.
and we were testing it out, and then I realized there was an infinite loop. Right? It's like I had a good idea a while ago, but
Yeah.
let's just pack this up. I need to go back to the drawing board. It's like when we were already playing with it. So my tip is
Mhm.
very much related to that, which is to prototype as quick as you can.
Mhm.
Uh, it when we say prototype, Nico has told this already
Mhm.
many times. We're not talking about pretty
Mhm.
cards with the art with the um don't ask don't commission an art already. You're just thinking about the game design.
Mhm.
Literal talaga, index card, sinulat, you try it out, you put paper on sleeve cards, whatever you could do to quickly prototype. If you know how to do tabletop simulator, you can do it
Mhm.
there. There's also a lot more online prototyping tools. Even PowerPoint.
Mhm.
Nag-box ka doon, tapos doon mo lang dinadrag-drag. Naka-screen share ka lang, and then you're talking to people, and then you're
Oh.
imagining how things are working. That's already something that can get you over that idea stage into something where you can now react to it. You can see what is working, see what is not working. At least magkaroon ng concrete, um, tangible, well, virtual pa rin siya, but tangible component ang idea mo, and it gets you um, off the board, and
Mhm.
now you're moving along.
Yeah, wait, did I get hello? Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
all good.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Because that's the only way you'll actually see if your ideas work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the unlike other mediums, like I don't know, like art and writing, like books. So the integral part of a game is the player. So the game cannot exist without the player, and so that's why you need to prototype it as quickly as possible to insert the player into the equation as quickly as you can.
Right.
Because so that's yeah, you have to see how people are gonna react, and you can't really predict how people are going to react when you play the game. And if you can predict what they're going to do, then maybe it's not that much of a game either. Because then that means that there's like set decisions that are
Right.
obvious. You can predict it, so it should it's a good thing if you come up with a game and you're trying to predict what the player is going to do and you can't really figure it out either, and you yourself you don't know what to do as a player, because that means that there is something that the decision making is what's the word I always use, it's I can't remember the word, but yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah,
deeper
it's
than what
something that
you
you would
see.
still discover
Mhm.
in yeah, I'm sure you experienced this on your designs. I played Folded Wishes over the conventions last weekend,
Mm.
and I was surprised I saw a new move.
Mm.
I'm already the designer. I'm like, hey, you could actually use this in
Mhm.
that manner to for a win state. I
Yeah.
never got to do that before.
Mhm.
So no, being able to discover something new, that means that you've created a design that can survive uh, quite a bit of play.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you if you can imagine already everybody's reaction, and oh, they should do this, they should do that,
Yeah.
then maybe baka yun nga eh, mahirap, baka hindi na siya game kasi nga people are just making the same decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh agree. All right, next tip, Nico.
Okay. Um. Okay. So my next tip is more of a mindset that game designers should have, and that is to be courageous with your game design and to not take your game design, not to treat it as like your baby, or like to
Mhm.
treat it as an extension of you as a person, right? To try to keep your game separate from you, independent of you and your ego, right? Because the thing is, when people design games, especially in the start, and no matter how good you are, there's gonna be problems that are gonna come out because you can't perfectly predict what players are going to do. So when you put in the player, there's gonna be problems, there are going to be mistakes that you're going to have to fix. And sometimes people take these too personally. Like, pag may problema yung game, tingin nila it's like a personal failure. Like, that they were dumb, they were not good game designers, they weren't able to predict stuff. And that's not really a good attitude. It really happens to the best of us. And that's the whole point of playtesting. That's really part of the process.
Mhm.
So yun, it helps to normalize that's normal, so that you don't feel like you have to get everything right on the first try.
Yes.
And even on the second try or even on the third try, you're gonna make mistakes. So it's okay to bring a broken game or an unfinished game. As long as it's playable, it's okay to bring it for play testing.
Yeah, I
And
think you had a good tip on this, that
mhm,
you could say outright, especially on a playtest session, hey, it's not yet fully complete.
yeah,
I
yeah,
want to test this part,
hmm,
right? And as long as people are aware that this certain portion we can stop because I don't know how we're gonna score it yet, something
hmm,
like this, that is
hmm,
totally fine.
yeah,
Especially if you're playtesting with co-designers and playtesters that are familiar with the methodologies of designing games and testing games. Yeah, so I think it's a safer space.
Mhm.
Um, it is something though that you guys might be experiencing, that you will be playtesting your game on game nights. You know, people
Mhm.
that are just randomly going to your game, and yon, just just like what Nico said, be more courageous because you will get raw reactions to
Mhm.
your game. There's no more filter. There's no more sort of objective perspective. It's gonna be their experience with the game. And I have experiences before already where they just said, I'm absolutely never gonna play that game ever. Okay.
Yeah.
But a side tip to that is you need to capture that moment and ask just some clarifications, like, oh, what about the game, uh ano, that did not work for you.
Mm.
And by clarifying this, I was able to figure out ano yung naging broken para sa kanya, na
Mhm.
ayun pala yung side effect. Pag hindi nila naintindihan tong portion na to, yung experience dito wala na, like, so
Mm.
now I have to address that situation. How do I reinforce?
Yeah.
So may mga ganun siya na, yeah, something you have to, but
Yeah.
again, be courageous. People will react about your game, and that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah, that's perfectly normal. And also, just to add to that, clarify, to ask questions to clarify during the playtest. Sometimes they don't like your game because it's just not their type. It's not because
Mm,
there's anything wrong with the game itself. It's just that, like, you were designing a dice game and they like Euro games, and so they're not your intended audience anyways.
mm-hmm,
So that's also perfectly fine. Mm.
agree. All
Mhm.
right, my turn to give a tip. Uh, so this is something uh, that I tell my team members as well in my work, uh, and I call it the 5 minute habit.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
so the idea is, if you can do something in 5 minutes, gawin mo na siya.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
uh, wag mo na siyang, so it's my way to hack procrastination. The thing with designing games and setting up all of the components and prototyping and just drawing
Mm.
things out,
Yeah.
minsan talaga nakakatamad eh.
Yes,
Parang
it's very much.
dami nung cards, tapos so I would ask myself, what can I fit in 5 minutes? I have
Mm.
5 minutes to spare. What can I fit in 5 minutes? Maybe I can design the border. Then
Mm.
go ahead and design the border.
Mm.
But what you realize is that yung 5 minutes mo na yun, hindi na siya 5 minutes.
Mm.
Nakapag-design ka na ng border, maganda siya. So, tapos simulan mo na ng konting layouting ng paano mo, ano yung label, saan mo lalagay
Mm.
yung ganitong spot. Mamaya 30 minutes na, and then you already have something substantial. Then park it. Wag nyo ring parang
Mm.
pagpuyatan kasi hindi rin naman useful kasi your creative juices medyo nagte-taper down din yan eh.
Mhm.
So, that's my tip. If you can fit it in 5 minutes, just squeeze in a little bit. It could even be as simple as research. Oh,
Mm.
hindi, kailangan ko ng information, history about this certain topic, or more information meron about a certain genre of my game. Spend 5 minutes searching online.
Mm.
Gather some assets, some resources, and then let's go. What you
Mhm.
realize over the next few months, you've already accumulated so many 5 minutes that you already have such a substantial amount as compared to you try to schedule this. Parang, hindi, upuan ko to. Ating araw, tapusin ko tong game na to. Actually, mas mahirap yun kasi nga, it's a heavy load. The
Mm.
barrier to getting to that state, mas mataas yung resistance. So, if you can fit
Mm.
in 5 minutes, gawin mo na.
Mhm. Mhm. That's nice. I will use that. I'll trick myself into
Yes.
thinking this will take 5 minutes.
Oh,
Mhm. Yeah, but
saan,
that's
sa timer
yeah.
mo pa? Ano?
No, now that you mentioned that, I actually use that trick on myself. Usually, yung 5 minute task ko is to set up the spreadsheet or to set up the
Hmm,
files. It's
yeah.
just yun, spreadsheet lang. Okay, this game idea I have, what are the I just create the Google sheet and then
Hmm,
parang what are my headers, what's my rows, what's my columns. Tapos yun, okay na yun. Or
okay na yun.
sometimes I'll make the files lang, make a new folder for it and then I use Affinity, so an Affinity
Hmm,
designer or Affinity publisher file, set up the dimensions, tapos ayan, yun na yun. Yeah.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Ang balikan mo na lang. May
Yeah.
5 minutes ka na ulit. Kasi
Yeah.
marami naman talaga tayong, we're very busy. If
Yes.
you're a professional, if you're a student, you have so many things that you need to do. But you could
Mhm.
spare 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you can make 5 minutes here for your game, do that, on a regular basis. In
Mhm.
no time, you'll have a lot of progress with your game.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
Nico.
Um. Okay. So before I go into my next, I wanted to touch lang into game design is a for most people, especially if you're starting it out. You're doing it because you want to make a game, right? And maybe you haven't done it before. Maybe you've done it before. If you've done it before, then you found that you enjoy it. You enjoy the process. That's why you wanted to continue doing it again. If you have not yet done it before and you're possibly you've been thinking about it because you enjoy games, you want to try it out. So you try it out. Um, Now, game design is actually quite difficult. It's a quite difficult thing. And your own personal morale is very important. And like making sure that you're still enjoying yourself amidst the hardship and that you're inspired to work. So that you're taking care of your own morale is very important. And so there are sometimes tips that actually don't help with your morale. There are some counterintuitive tips that you might want to do even if it's just for the sake of your own morale. So what do I mean by that? So right, as Ron was saying, try to get your prototype, try to make your prototype as quickly as you can so that you can play it out. And that is generally the tip that all experienced game designers give to new people so that you can try it out right away. But there are some people get a morale boost if they see people playing their game and get feedback. Other designers, other people get a morale boost by things being neat or things being pretty or things
Mm-hmm,
being laid out properly. So
mm-hmm,
sometimes, even if the tip is to get your prototype out as quickly as possible, as dirty as possible, write it down on index cards and stuff like that. But if it makes you feel good, it's also fine to like bring out Photoshop, bring out your whatever design and work on the layout, choose nice fonts, choose nice colors, make the UX pretty, do some art. That's okay. If it keeps your morale up and makes you want to continue on your design. So do what you think works best for you, but also be aware of the principles behind it. Like,
mm-hmm.
if art makes you, if you're an artist, you like to draw, and that makes you happy, still be aware not to finish all the art of your game. You
Mm-hmm.
still need to actually try it out. But if making that art makes you want to try out your game and makes you want to prototype it more, gives you that extra energy to think about the mechanics, then yeah, go do it. Do what
Right.
inspires you. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I like that.
Mhm.
Um, maraming parts of game design, tedious talaga. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yung, Nico, yung balancing na nga lang, tsaka lahat ng paglatag ng numbers mo. Parang,
Ah,
ilan ba yung ilalagay kong virus dito sa game na to? Ilan ba yung ganito? Ano yung probability na kukumpitin mo na? Medyo ano yung minsan parang nakatabad to. But, yun nga,
even like
if
even like just shadow testing your game, cleaning it up and setting it up again between shadow tests, sobrang nakakataba.
lalo
So,
na pagka talaga medyo, nakakarami na yung playtest mo. Agree,
oh,
agree.
yeah.
So, but yun nga, the trick there is do something different. So, if that's already, kumbaga, Filipino term natin na nakakasuya na
Mm, mm,
yung pag that aspect of your game, there
mm,
are a lot of other aspects. So from I remember uh, Bianca was telling me that so she wanted to really design tabletop RPGs and whatnot, and sabi, okay, how can I build my game? I don't know artists. Maybe I can learn how to draw and make my own art. Like,
mm,
yeah, cool. And then apparently she's quite good at it, and
mm.
she was able to
Wow.
finish things.
Mm,
But you, even if that's not your thing,
mm,
looking for art or looking for sort of the mood board or the peg, the idea, that's already enough to sort of get you going. And
mm.
so see which ones inspire you to keep working on it, and from time to time go back to that.
Yeah. Parang si ano, 'di ba alam niyo ba si Tolkien, yung sa Lord of the Rings?
Mm-hmm.
Yung 'di ba, he's known for his lore building. He wrote the whole mythos and the history of Middle Earth and stuff. But actually, all he really wanted to do, because he's a linguist, all he really wanted to do was invent languages.
Right,
And he
right.
invented like how many languages by the age he was 12 or something. But the
Mm-hmm.
reason why he wrote Lord of the Rings and all of that is because now that he invented these languages, he needed people to speak it. So that's it. It's just languages. Okay, now I need someone to speak these languages. So he invented this whole world. But yun talaga yung nag-drive sa kanya. It's just he likes making up
Wow.
languages. Yeah.
And ang languages ng Tolkien universe is fully fleshed out
And
di
sobrang
ba?
dami. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
the crazy thing pa about the Lord of the Rings is
Mm-hmm.
that um the lore is that the lore of Lord of the Rings is that si Tolkien is kind of like a character in the mythos of Lord of the Rings, kind of like an archaeologist who discovered these writings that were the writings of Bilbo and Frodo kasi diba they're writing books,
Right.
and he translated it into English. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, the origin, like Bilbo, Frodo, that's not their names. Their names are other things because there's this other language called Westron, and that's the original language that Tolkien found the manuscripts in, and then he translated it to English. But everything Elvish he kept in Elvish because as a scholar in that universe, that's how he's supposed to do it. And Westron is kind of an ancestor of English, so yeah, it's major crazy. But yun nga, he
Wow.
enjoys languages. So
Yep.
yeah, if you enjoy art, then no problem. Yeah, make art for your game. Even
You know, this really is a good tip because me personally, I'm a technology guy.
mm,
So what like drives me to get some of my game designs going is like, maybe I can rewrite the engine that I use to generate the cards, or maybe I can learn how to do AI generative imagery to
mm,
take art and photos and could make a new art that I can now use for my game.
mhm.
So in essence, I'm also hitting two birds with one stone. I'm learning something new.
Yeah,
At the same time, I'm progressing my game. So
mhm.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely
me,
do what inspires you to do more.
yeah, me. I kind of when I hit a rough patch in a game, I usually end up going into laying out the components because I
Mm-hmm.
like choosing fonts, and
Mm.
I'm not an artist, but I like
You're a
um
UX guy,
yeah,
from what I noticed.
I like fixing the information on the
Right.
cards.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, so sometimes I'm stuck in the game in the mechanics, and so I give myself a break and I start laying them out, and yeah, that helps. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Good.
Oh, but
Speaking of UI
mm,
or interfaces, sometimes with games, and I've uh experienced this many times with my games, is that you have a good idea, but hindi mo lang talaga ma-solve yung certain parts. Like,
mm,
it's just, I don't get it.
mm,
And so, you wanna get a fresh perspective. Fresh perspective is coming from either playtesters, um, other people. Hey, here's my game. Can I talk to you about it? They're gonna give you ideas. They're gonna react to your game. They're gonna give you a new view
mm,
of the game that you're trying to build. Um, and it might not necessarily change your opinion about what you want to do.
mm,
Hopefully. Okay?
mm,
Ideally, meron ka pa ring vision that you want to achieve. But it gives you, ideas that you haven't thought about. And it's something about, especially with game design, that it really helps if you can find other ways to do things.
mm,
Hindi, moving from one location to another is not always just roll a die and then the output number is what you do. There are
mm,
so many ways to do the same idea, the same mechanic, the same movement. So you want to get a fresh perspective, which is either get opinions from other people or play games that have a similar idea that what you want to try to achieve.
mm. Yeah, I always use this tip actually, and I always ask Ron and Sir Freddy and other designers, like mga, and which comes to my next tip. So, oh, should I just go into it
Yeah,
now?
go ahead.
Okay, so my next tip is to share your ideas and your struggles with
Mm,
a support group or other designers. It's better actually with other designers, like you have a close group because you understand the struggles. This is not like even before bringing it out to playtesters. Have like a group of friends, a support group who enjoys design that you can just talk about design with. So like for
mhm.
me, it's like Ron, Sir Freddy, other people in Unpub,
Right.
and so my personal what I find the most daunting in game design is when you have a new idea and you don't know if it's gonna work or not,
Hmm.
because it sounds good on paper, but with experience you find that most ideas are actually not very good when implemented,
Hmm.
and not that and it can't be saved. It's just it wasn't a feasible idea in the long run. And
Hmm.
I find that the most daunting part, because there is so much work that needs to be done before you can actually bring it out and test it and see if it is actually a good idea or not. So you're
Hmm.
risking a lot of your time, a lot of your energy into something that can just go and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes.
Just shelve it and like lesson learned, right? It's not gonna work. So that for me is the most daunting thing. So what I do when I have an idea like that I wanna test it out. I wanna explore this idea, but I don't know if it's gonna be worth my time. Is I just describe it to my friends and ask them what they think. So like,
Yes.
does this sound interesting to you? Okay, so I have this game idea. This is what happens, and these are the mechanics I have in my mind. I haven't fleshed anything out at all. It's just here's my 3 sentence pitch,
Yep.
and then from there I can already see, okay, does it look interesting to them, or did I even understand my own concept? That's the
Mm.
other thing. Because maybe when
Hmm.
I'm finally like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And I suddenly like can't find the words to describe what I was thinking. And then when I do find it, parang okay, hindi pala siya maganda. So, yun. So yeah, have a support group that you can just bounce ideas with, bounce the
Hmm.
struggles around with, and that really just helps again for your morale and to test out ideas without That's like the like step zero prototype. You haven't even
Yes,
prototyped it yet,
yes,
but you're really
yes,
play
yes. And
testing it.
I've
You're just
I've
play
I'm
testing the concept.
I have received messages from me like this where, hey, I have this idea.
Mm.
um I remember it's for the uh one of our lores, the manananggal.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so, well, number one, do not be afraid to share ideas. I think I'm
Mm.
just gonna bounce off your message here.
Yes.
Kahit ikwento mo yung buong game mo,
Yeah.
walang in game design, hindi pa yan, hindi siya money. Hindi, it's
Yeah.
not it's not your golden ticket. It's not something you can copyright and kailangan mo ng AIP kasi sobrang lupit nung
Mm.
idea. Nope, sorry.
Yeah.
Ideas don't mean anything, are worth nothing until they've actually been implemented and tested, and then it's into a reality. And that's the only time they can be measured, whether they were good or not.
Mm.
So, yun nga, maganda yung point ni Nico na throw your ideas early. If you have, in a group, for example, you can look for Unpub
Mhm.
in Facebook, Unpub PH, and then once you're inside, you can also ask if you can get to join the chat group. And I know
Mhm.
Unpub is gonna be having a meetup again soon. So,
Yeah, yay.
whew,
Finally.
for the past how many years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So finally get a meetup again. So that's exciting.
Mm.
Um, yeah, you can really just be in that circle and toss ideas around and ask for feedback. Hey, do you think this is a good idea? Would it work?
Mm.
And don't be afraid. People won't be copying it
Mhm.
per se, because again, they need to implement. They have to go through the same struggles.
Yeah.
Even if they're gonna copy it, they have to go through all of the same struggle to get to your game. And at the end, magkaiba pa rin ang vision nyo. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And even then, let's say they did do all of that. They're not making money yet. Meron pang isa pang struggle, which is the publishing and the
Yes.
marketing. So
Yep.
if you notice, the only games that get stolen are the ones that are already being sold. Yung
Yes.
mga may fakes. That's it. No one would steal a unfinished game because the effort to actually monetize that is still so great. It's not worth stealing.
And the risk is still so high because
Oh.
best designers na nga are
Hmm.
publishing games, and they're still, you know, putting into, the unplayed shelf or into the
Mm-hmm.
discount bin. Those are already professional designers, diba? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Huwag kayong matakot i-share ang game ideas nyo kasi nga mas magandang magkaroon na kayo ng feedback if
Yes.
it's a good idea or not. Or at least first impression.
Although
Okay.
just as a caveat for that, yung asking friends and asking I think you have to also build the group. You can't just go to any group and like start sharing ideas and stuff like that. You kind of have to build some rapport with the people and kasi yung mahirap if di mo kilala yung mga tao, people might just be polite and they'll say, "Oh, sounds like a great idea." Pero actually hindi naman nila pinag-isipan masyado. So there has to be some rapport and some trust and some you're able to understand each other na yun, na minsan kasi hindi encouragement yung hinahanap. It's like solid facts on kung gusto mo ba siya or hindi.
Right.
So, yun, yeah.
Yeah. And here's a tip that I'm gonna follow up with that on how you can build those connections.
Hmm.
Play test
Hmm.
other players' games,
Yeah.
other designers' games. You wanna help out. You wanna network. You wanna be able to have these designers, give you feedback for your idea. If they can find you and they can depend on you, that if you have the time, you would play test their game. Nico
Hmm.
would send me, Ron, here's the rulebook of 13.
Hmm.
Papasa naman.
Yeah.
Raw pa yun. Raw pa yun. Diba? Magbibigay na ako ng feedback. Bakit? Kasi nga, nagsama na kami ng pag-playtest ng mga games namin. Magkikita kami, Tatry lang kami ng, hey, I have this idea. Ito pa lang siya medyo raw. Sige, tara, try natin. And
Mm.
that's where you will see this. It's a little bit different than your typical game night environment. Na, syempre, game night environment, the expectation is this. Finish
Mm.
games. What is your win condition? What's the turn structure? Some of the games that we would be playtesting, ala pa akong win condition
Mm.
Tinetesting ko lang yung mechanic kung okay
Yeah,
ba to o hindi.
yeah,
Di ba?
yeah.
Pwede yun eh. Well, and you'll get feedback already from aspiring designers, from published designers. So I think a good tip is if you can join Unpub, if you're interested in the journey of game design, be a playtester.
Mhm.
If you're still afraid to get your idea out, see how other players are and designers are actually having their games play tested, and then from there, your contributions, how things flow, how to ask questions, how to give feedback. I think it also helps you formulate your
Mm.
ideas and build your connections to the community.
Yeah, I wanna add nga to that I've gotten a lot of my ideas while playtesting. Kasi you're being exposed to new mechanics and you can't help also na while you're playtesting a game, pag-iisipan mo din how to solve problems that come up. It's kind of natural to a designer.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those ideas actually apply better to what you're working on than on the other person. And then you get to fine tune also your like understanding different players and how they behave and just how games work generally. So yeah, playtesting is a great way to just practice game design without putting out your own thing. You're still practicing game design by playtesting because you're still thinking about games. Hmm.
Next. Sige, tig isa tayo last. Go,
Oh,
Nico.
okay, I got one. All right. Me first ba?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my last tip is that sometimes it's okay to give up temporarily and to
Nice.
shelf a design. Kasi minsan talaga pag masyado kang you've been working on this game for a long time, medyo nag-tunnel vision ka na sa game na ginagawa mo. And sometimes it's good to just, once you have no idea how to fix the problems of the game, it's good to shelf it, work on something else, help someone else, do other things. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you come back to it, you will have a fresh perspective. Or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, um, it even gets back to you na you weren't even thinking about naliligo ka. Those usual stories na nagtitimpla ka ng kape and then biglang, uy, wait, alam ko na. So sometimes, I always tell that to people na maybe sometimes you need to just let it simmer. Uh,
Mm,
let the unconscious solve the problems for you.
right.
And then, or sometimes, this also helps is that, that feeling when you've played a game, you know how to play it, then you stop playing it because you're not playing other games and stuff. Then when you return to the game, you don't quite remember how to play everything. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to refresh yourself and read the rule book again and see the rules and stuff. And sometimes you'll pick out na parang, uy, mali pala yung ginagawa natin or something like that. Yeah, that happened to us with Blood Rage so bad. But anyways, um, so that experience actually helps in game design because you get a fresh view on your game. Biglang mo
Mm,
makikita na parang, okay, itong part na to, hindi pala siya ganun ka-elegant. Kasi now that I'm trying to remember what it is, I can't remember how this works.
mhm.
So, you really just sometimes need to refresh. And it's okay to have a lot of works in progress. And, just leave it a while, work on another game, and it's okay. It's not so bad. Although, I will say that at some point, you have to also try to finish your games. Hindi pwedeng puro work in progress na lang. Because
Mhm.
that is also very stressful to have like this parang shelf of shame. Merong
Mhm.
parang spreadsheet of
Shelf
shame.
uh,
ng mga game.
shelf of unfinished games. Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Mahirap din 'yun.
Yeah. So
Right.
another story I remember, I keep remembering mga anecdotes ni Eric lang when he was here. Na there was one, he was saying there was one SN na ano, parang he felt daw like he was done with games. He was just so stress. I don't know. Parang he was just burnt out, so burned out from games. He didn't want to play anything daw. So on his way back to the States from Essen, he made the wild decision of burning his Excel files.
Yep.
Yung
Deleted
Google files.
everything.
Yeah, he just deleted everything. And then suddenly he felt like making games again. Kasi yung backlog na yun lang pala, mabigat lang yung backlog niya. So
Mm.
sometimes
I
that's
think
okay.
he was explaining that there was a mental tax. There's this
Yes.
upkeep that consumes for every idea that you have in your head that's not fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That,
for every idea that you have that it's just there that babalikan mo, it also it doesn't go away. Your brain is
yeah.
allotting resources on it.
Mm.
And sometimes, yeah, it really helps on letting go. Okay, this idea, I'm just gonna delete it, scrap it, and maybe my brain will come up with something in the future. But I want to move on and work with the games that I can fit.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm a little lucky in that sense because I really when I shelf a game, I sometimes forget completely that it exists. And so there are sometimes I'm talking to runners or Freddy and they're like, "Hey, oo nga, si Nico nga may game na ganito." So, ha? Talaga? Tapos, oh right, oo nga. Then I go through my Google Drive. I'm like, oh right, I made that game. I completely forgot that I made that game. So yun. So I'm a little lucky in that sense. I really once I file it into the shelf, sometimes I completely forget that it's there. So yeah.
um, so Fred was asking, what is the mentally safe number of shelf designs?
Oh, bakit wala hindi nag-update yung sa akin? I
For
don't
some
see.
reason, hindi niya ma-access yung ano natin sa Facebook.
Ah, okay.
I think nag-flag yung Facebook about yung audio. So some users got the notice, but some are okay. So I think pinulback din ng Facebook na yung flagging niya.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see. What was the question? I can't see
So
the
his question was, what's the mentally safe number of shelved designs? I
I
don't
don't
think
know. Yeah.
there's a specific number, but more of a ratio. So you just don't want to have more shelf, like double the number maybe of shelf designs to as compared to your finished designs. Parang if you can
Oh
somehow
no.
50-50. Um,
Mine's probably like times 10 to be
oh my
honest.
gosh. Hirap
Sometimes
yun.
yeah, but I'm okay kasi nga I forget. It's
Kasi
like
you
I forget.
forget.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
I feel like siguro if I have 10 unfinished designs, I only feel the tax of 2 kasi the other 8 I
Mm,
forgot. There but I've also cuz I write them down and
mm,
I've practiced that once I've written it down, I feel like it's safe na so I can forget about it because I can
right.
always go back to it. I think the answer to that is based on how you feel. So if you're not feeling inspired, you're feeling stressed about it, then that yan nga, medyo madami na. Medyo either you burn it or you forget about it and just
Mm-hmm.
leave it in a repository somewhere.
Okay. Agree.
Mm-mm.
And which actually relates to my last one, and it's something
Mhm.
that I mentioned before, and it's something that I practice. So write the
Mm.
rules down
Yes.
as quickly as you can. I don't write them down right away. What I do is I record myself explaining my game
Mhm.
as if pretending I already have people there, and I'm explaining the rules of my game
Mhm.
by recording it. I kid you not, I have never played it back to myself, but I have a long list in my phone of all of these ideas, and I think by sort of yun nga sabi mo nga Nico being able to save it into something you can go back to, parang natatanggal mo
Mm.
sa mental tax mo kasi lang okay, I've written it down, I can come back to it, but minsan, ang challenge kasi, you have a vision or an idea of a game and you haven't written down the rules, yun ang medyo mahirap talagang simulan or to get over the hump. So, I think once you have an idea and you're ready, the best sort of quick win that you can go for, have a one pager, write down the rules as best as you can, and then if you can record it, explain to a virtual someone your rules of your game, and if you can survive listening to yourself explaining it, then you have something to start on.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
that's really good. I always have paper with me wherever I go in case I need to. Because I'm not used to recording. My counterpart is literally writing it down. So
Mm.
I always have like random pieces of paper around. Would have these flyers from the big switch. So I have hindi na nagamit. So I have this. Sometimes if I don't have a piece of paper, I will type it in Facebook Messenger and message it to myself.
Mm.
So at least I have a record. And it really helps kasi ano din stressful yung parang may maganda kang idea tapos baka malimutan mo.
Yeah.
So just put it down, send it to yourself, and then okay, you can relax na the rest of the time until you can actually work on it.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Ako, the only reason why I don't write things down is because my handwriting is worse than a chicken. So,
that has happened to me though. Na parang write down an idea, tapos pagbalik ko, ano to? Hindi ko na maintindihan. Tapos,
well,
well,
it's good. At least you were able to formulate an idea. I was taking down notes, and then my wife was telling me, "Sige nga, ulitin mo nga yan." Hindi ko. Ano yan? Ang basa yan? So, yes. So, kaya ako, that's the only reason why I record myself audio is because I my hand can only type or yeah, but not write things down. Bagsak ako sa lahat ng cursive writing.
person writing.
All right. So, thank you very much, Nico. I think that was a fun
Sure.
episode. For
Mm-hmm.
the aspiring designers, we hope that you were able to get some tips to get over the hump of the barriers of getting your idea out and getting it out and playable, and at least get your game tested. Uh, Nico, how will they find Unpub?
Okay.
And
So, there's a Facebook group. So just search Unpub PH. Um, and then yeah, actually my problem is sometimes there are international Unpub people who join because they think it's the Unpub of the world. So then I have to tell them na, oh, this is the Philippine group. Because oh, okay, sorry. Yeah. So, but it should be easy to find. And then if you want to join the group chat, just message me so I can add to you. Unpub's been pretty inactive, honestly, for the past months. But that's because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we'll get moving again once we can meet face to face. Unpub has always been an offline community, so yeah,
Yes.
we'll see if it can get back on track.
Yeah, and that's why we started LarongAtin, just to keep the fire going, at least the signal of
Mm-hmm.
here's the game designs we have in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And yun, hopefully we would find more designers and more aspiring designers to get their games out. That hopefully would inspire publishers and to uh, game companies to actually take a look at those games and get more talent from the Philippines out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank
This
you.
is Larong Atin under Variable Play,
Mhm.
and see you guys soon.
Mhm.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.